Welcome back to Afro-Korean Stories by MOJ. If you are brand new here, subscribe right now, like this video, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is. We have viewers joining from everywhere, and I want to know where you are sitting right now. And if you watched parts 1 and 2, you already know these characters have permanently disrupted my sleep schedule, and I am taking all of you down with me. Let us get into part 3. The meeting had been going for exactly 41 minutes when Tasha Collins did something that would be discussed in the fourth-floor break room for the remainder of the quarter. It started professionally. It really did. The creative strategy meeting was supposed to be a standard check-in, campaign direction, timeline review, preliminary feedback from the marketing team before the final design push. 12 people around a table. Normal corporate activity. The kind of meeting that produced minutes and action items and absolutely no lasting consequences. Tasha had her design boards prepared. She had her presentation notes organized. She had even, on the recommendation of Soohyun, who understood these rooms better than most, worn her most boardroom-appropriate outfit, which Amara had reviewed via video call that morning and approved with the words, "You look expensive and unbothered," which is the only language they understand. The meeting started normally. Then Director Park arrived 12 minutes late, sat down without apology, looked at Tasha's design concept on the screen, and said, in the slow, deliberate tone of a man who had been practicing the sentence, "I would like to revisit the question of whether external freelance personnel should be leading internal creative direction." The room went very quiet, the kind of quiet that had a temperature. Tasha looked at her notes, then at the screen. Then at Director Park with the specific, calm focus of a woman who had grown up in a household of African Andes and had therefore developed a doctoral-level tolerance for being underestimated in meeting rooms. "Sure," she said pleasantly. "Let us revisit it. What specifically about the campaign direction is concerning you?" Park looked at her with the slightly surprised expression of a man who had expected retreat and received a question. "The overall approach," he said carefully. "Okay," she said. "Which element?" "The tone." "What about the tone?" "It is unconventional." "The brief asked for unconventional," she said, sliding the original campaign brief across the table with the precision of a woman who had read it 3 times before her first day. Page 2, third paragraph. "Creative approach should challenge established brand communication patterns to reach a younger demographic." Those are the exact words. I have them underlined here if it helps. The room did a collective internal thing. Park looked at the brief, then at Tasha. "The execution," he started. "The execution follows the brief," she said. "If the brief is the problem, that is a different conversation, and it should have happened before the project started, not 3 weeks into delivery when the team has put in significant work." She looked around the table at the team. "Does anyone else have a specific concern about the execution?" Silence. Then Nari from the youth division said, very quietly but very clearly, "No." Then the junior strategist said, "The engagement projections are the highest we have seen for a campaign at this stage." Then someone else said, "The concept testing with the focus group was the strongest result in 2 years." Then everyone looked at Director Park, who looked at his notes, who had, it became clear, not prepared for the situation where the room agreed with the freelancer. "I still have concerns," he said. "You should write them down formally," Tasha said pleasantly. "That is what the feedback process is for. I welcome specific notes. What I cannot address is general discomfort because general discomfort is not a design problem." The meeting ended 20 minutes later. People filed out with the specific energy of employees who had witnessed something significant and needed to immediately discuss it in smaller groups. Tasha gathered her boards. Soohyun appeared at her side. "That," she whispered, "was the most professional destruction I have ever witnessed in this building." "I made a presentation," Tasha said. "You dismantled him with a brief and a highlighter." "I highlighted relevant text." While smiling. "I am a pleasant person." Soohyun stared at her. "He is going to file something formal," she said. "He is welcome to," Tasha said. "I have done nothing wrong." "No," Soohyun agreed. "That is going to make it worse for him." She was right. Director Park filed a formal concern with the board by 4 p.m. the same day. Tasha knew this because Min-jae texted her at 4:17. Park escalated. Full formal complaint submitted to board. Your name appears 7 times. I counted. She stared at her phone, then typed back. Is 7 a bad number? In this context, it is a very committed number. What happens now? 3 dots. Then, asterisk Juncio happened approximately 40 minutes ago. The complaint has already been reviewed. Come to the 3rd floor. I have snacks and information. Asterisk. She found Min-jae in the 3rd floor collaborative lounge with a bag of chips, 2 cans of something cold, and the expression of a man who had front row seats to the most entertaining corporate drama of the year and was fully committed to the experience. Sit, he said, gesturing grandly. She sat. Director Park submitted a formal concern citing. He checked his phone and read, with exaggerated gravity, irregular professional conduct, disruption of established operational culture, and inappropriate familiarity with senior leadership. Tasha stared at him. Inappropriate familiarity with senior leadership, she repeated slowly. Yes. He filed a complaint about my personality. Essentially, he has turned my vibe into a legal document. Min-jae pointed at her. That is exactly what happened, and it is extraordinary. She sat back in the chair. And Juncio? Min-jae's expression shifted into something that was trying very hard to be neutral and failing completely. Juncio requested the complaint within 30 minutes of it being submitted, he said. Read it. Then submitted a formal response to the board in writing. How long was the response? 4 sentences. She blinked. 4. The man communicates in precision ammunition, Min-jae said. 4 sentences. He cleared his throat dramatically and read from his phone. 1. The freelance designer was engaged through correct procurement process and has delivered work that exceeds project benchmarks. 2. Familiarity with colleagues is not a measurable professional offense. 3. The formal complaint process should not be used to address personal discomfort with work quality that exceeds expectations. 4. This matter is closed. Silence. Tasha looked at the ceiling. He sent 4 sentences to the board, she said. The most devastating 4 sentences in corporate history, Min-jae confirmed. He said the complaint process should not be used to address personal discomfort. He said it in writing. To the board. Officially. Park is going to be furious. Park is going to be quietly furious, Min-jae corrected. Which is worse. Public fury is manageable. Quiet fury has patience. She picked up one of the cans and opened it. He did not tell me he was doing that, she said. He does not announce things he considers obvious. Was it obvious? Min-jae looked at her. Tasha, he said. That man has reorganized his entire professional communication style to defend your position in this company, sent 4 sentences to a board that typically receives 40-page reports, and is currently in a meeting that he scheduled around your campaign presentation timeline. He paused. Was it obvious? It was the loudest obvious thing he has ever done in 9 years. She was quiet. That makes me feel things, she said. I know, he said. I do not want to feel things about this while also trying to do the job properly. I understand. Because if this becomes personal, it is already personal, he said gently. On both sides. The only question is what you both do with it. She looked at her can, then at the wall, then at Min-jae, who was watching her with the patient expression of a man who had been waiting for this conversation for a long time. I need to talk to him, she said. Yes, he said. You do. Not about feelings. Inevitably about feelings. About the work first. And then the feelings. Min-jae. I am simply mapping the probable sequence of events, he said innocently. She pointed at him. You are the nosiest person I have ever met. I prefer invested, he said. It sounds warmer. You are an invested disaster. With excellent snacks, he said, holding up the chips. She took some. Your friend is coming to visit tomorrow, she said casually. Min-jae became very still. Very, very still. With the specific stillness of a person who had been caught off guard and was recalibrating. Which friend, he said. Amara, she said, watching him with the same focused attention he had been using on her for weeks. Right, he said. Amara. Your friend. Yes. She is coming to the building? She wanted to see the campaign work in progress. Right. He looked at his chips. What time? Min-jae. I am asking professionally, he said, for scheduling purposes. You have no professional reason to know what time Amara arrives. I have, he stopped. Started again. I want to make sure she has someone to show her around properly. Since you will be working, I will make time for her. You should focus on the campaign, he said generously. I can. Min-jae. He looked at her. She looked at him. She will be here at noon, she said. Something in his expression did a small, quickly managed thing.
Fine, he said. Good.
That is useful information. For scheduling purposes. Yes. For professional scheduling purposes. Correct. You are absolutely terrible at this, she said. I am handling it well, he said, with great dignity. You looked at your phone when I said noon, she said. To check if you had something. I was checking the time. You were checking if you were free. He opened his mouth, closed it. Then with enormous, reluctant honesty, I was checking if I was free.
She grinned.
He pointed at her. Not a word. I said nothing. You are smiling. I smile frequently. Tasha. Min-jae, she said pleasantly and ate another chip. He leaned back in his chair. She is, he started then stopped. Yes, she said. She is very direct, he said. She is. Most people in my circles are not direct, he said. They are strategic. Everything has a subtext. Everything is positioned.
He paused.
She just says the thing. She has always been like that, Tasha said. He was quiet for a moment. It is another pause. Refreshing? Tasha offered. Alarming, he said. Then, and yes, refreshing. She looked at him. She is my best friend, she said. I know. She matters to me more than most things in my life. I understand. So, if something. I know, he said, more quietly. I know what you're saying, and I hear it. She studied him. He met her gaze steadily. She is not a situation to manage, he said simply. I am aware of that. She nodded. Good, she said. They sat quietly for a moment. Also, he said, she is the funniest person you have described to me, and I have been in the same building with her exactly once, and I already find her more interesting than 80% of the people at this company. Tasha burst out laughing. You are so gone, she said. I am professionally curious, he said, with absolutely no conviction. You are gone, she said again. Finish your chips, he said. The board meeting started at 9 in the morning, and by 9:17, Tasha's name had been said 11 times in a room she was not in, which was either a personal record or a sign that the universe had a very specific sense of humor. She knew this because Min-jae was texting her from inside the meeting. This was technically not allowed. Min-jae had never once in his professional life allowed technicalities to interfere with what he considered essential communication. The first text arrived at 9:04. They are discussing the campaign. Then, at 9:09, Director Park is speaking. His face is doing something complicated. Then, at 9:11, he just said your name with the specific energy of a man who blames weather personally. Then, at 9:14, Jun Seo has not moved or changed expression in 6 minutes. He is doing the thing where he looks calm, but is actually deciding things. Then, at 9:17, your name again. 11 times. I am counting. Tasha sat at her desk and stared at her phone with the specific focus of a woman trying very hard to appear professionally occupied while her entire employment status was apparently being evaluated in a room 2 floors above her. Soo-yeon, who had the instincts of someone who had survived 3 years at KJ Global by observing everything and saying very little, leaned slightly toward her. The board meeting, she said quietly. I know, Tasha said. Is it about? Yes. Soo-yeon nodded slowly. Are you worried? Tasha looked at her design sketches. Thought about what Jun Seo had said 2 days ago, standing at his window. It is within my authority to determine the appropriate response. Said it the way he said most important things. Quietly, like it was already settled. No, she said. And she was surprised to discover that she meant it. Her phone buzzed again. 9:22. Jun Seo is speaking now. I cannot text and watch simultaneously, but I will report back. Then, at 9:31, Director Park looks like he swallowed something expensive and regrets it. Then, at 9:34, campaign approved. Your position confirmed. Director Park is drinking water with the energy of a man conceding a war. Then a pause. Then, at 9:36. Asterisk, he said, the campaign requires continuity of creative direction. I have heard Jun Seo say many things in 9 years. That sentence carried a specific weight. Come to the third floor at 10. Bring coffee. I have things to tell you. Asterisk. Tasha put her phone down. Soo-yeon was watching her. Well, she said. Tasha exhaled slowly. The project continues, she said. Soo-yeon's shoulders dropped approximately 2 centimeters with relief. Good, she said quietly. That is good. Tasha looked at her sketches again, then picked up her pencil, and tried very hard not to think about a man 2 floors above her using his authority to say, in the precise language of corporate governance, that she was staying. She failed at not thinking about it. But she drew some excellent concept sketches in the process, so the morning was not a complete loss. Min-jae was waiting on the 3rd floor with the energy of someone who had just witnessed a historical event and needed an audience immediately. He took the coffee she had brought him, sat down in one of the collaborative lounge chairs, and looked at her with enormous purpose. Tell me what you know about Kang Jun-seo in board meetings, he said. Nothing. Correct, he said. Because nobody knows. Because he does not allow personal investment to affect his boardroom conduct. Ever. In 9 years, I have watched him make decisions about people, departments, entire divisions, with the exact same emotional expression he uses to read quarterly reports. He pointed at her. Today was different. Tasha sipped her own coffee. Different how? Director Park made his case formally, Min-jae said. He framed it as a concern about professional conduct. He said, and I am quoting directly, that your presence in the building had created an environment of, he checked his phone, irregular social dynamics that undermine the established professional structure. Tasha stared at him. He called me an irregular social dynamic.
He did.
That is the most passive-aggressive sentence I have ever heard. It gets better, Min-jae said, with the relish of a man who had been waiting to deliver this information since 9/17. Jun Seo waited until Park had completely finished. Let him say every single thing. Did not interrupt once. And then, he paused for dramatic effect, he said, the designer's work has produced the most positively reviewed campaign concept in KJ Global's internal process this quarter. If irregular social dynamics are responsible for that result, I suggest we evaluate what our previous dynamics were producing. Silence. Tasha stared at Min-jae. He said that. In front of the full board. That is. A corporate declaration of war, Min-jae confirmed happily. Director Park did not speak again for 4 minutes. One board member laughed. Quietly. Into his water. But it happened. Tasha sat back. Min-jae watched her process this. He defended you, he said more gently now. He defended the campaign. He defended you. Min-jae repeated, with the patient certainty of a man who had been translating Jun Seo's behavior into human language for nearly a decade. The campaign was the vehicle. You were the point. She looked at her coffee cup. He does not say things directly, she said. He says things exactly as directly as he is capable of, Min-jae said. Which, for Kang Jun-seo, is more direct than most people manage in a lifetime. She was quiet for a moment. Then, what do I do with that? Min-jae smiled. You keep going, he said simply. You keep being exactly who you are. You let him figure out the rest. She looked at him. You are surprisingly wise for a man who enters rooms without knocking. I knock, he said. I just knock while opening. That is not knocking. It is simultaneous knocking, he said. Very efficient. She laughed. He looked pleased with himself, then glanced at his phone. Amara arrived the next day at noon with the energy of a woman who had been preparing for this visit since Tasha mentioned it, and the specific intentionality of someone who was pretending she had not been preparing. She walked into the KJ Global lobby, looked around at the marble and the screens and the organized, expensive chaos of it, and said, "It smells like money and controlled anxiety." That is what Tasha said on her first day. Soo-yeon said from beside Tasha, with the expression of someone noting a remarkable coincidence. Amara looked at Soo-yeon. I like her already, she said. Soo-yeon smiled. She said that about me too. Amara pointed at Tasha. You have found your people. I work here, Tasha said. These are colleagues. These are people who understand your specific brand of chaos and have decided to stay nearby, Amara corrected. That is what people are. They took the elevator up and Tasha showed her the campaign boards, the design work, the space she had been building in for weeks. Amara moved through it with genuine attention, the way she always engaged with Tasha's work, not as a supportive friend performing enthusiasm, but as someone who actually looked. "This is good," she said, standing in front of the main concept display. "Thank you." "Like, really good," Amara said. "Like this should be on a billboard in 81 good. We are pitching for outdoor placements in the second phase." Amara turned around. "You are going to be everywhere," she said. Tasha looked at the boards. "That is the plan," she said softly. Amara studied her.
"You love this," she said.
"I love the work." "You love this specifically," Amara said. "This building. This project. These people." A beat. "This CEO." Amara. "I am simply observing." "You are observing loudly. It is my most consistent quality." Before Tasha could respond, the door to the corridor opened and Min-jae walked in. He was wearing the jacket. Amara noticed the jacket. Tasha noticed Amara noticed the jacket. Min-jae noticed Tasha noticed Amara noticed the jacket and immediately had the expression of a man who had made a decision about his outfit that morning and now had complicated feelings about it. "You are here," he said to Amara. "You knew I was coming," she said. "I knew you were coming at noon," he said. "It is noon." "Yes." "So, you are unsurprised." "I am," he gestured vaguely, "prepared." "For what?" she said. He stopped. "To say hello." Amara looked at him. Tasha looked at the ceiling. Soo-yeon looked at her phone with the focused attention of someone choosing not to witness something.
"Hello," Amara said.
"Hello," Min-jae said. A pause. "The jacket is nice," Amara said. Min-jae opened his mouth. Closed it.
"Thank you," he said.
Said it too quickly. "I wear it sometimes." "To noon meetings?" He stopped. "Yes." She said, and turned back to look at the campaign boards. Min-jae looked at Tasha. Tasha mouthed, "You are absolutely gone." He pointed at her with a look that communicated several things, none of them printable. She smiled serenely. "These gradient panels," Amara said, still looking at the boards. "The warmth in them. That is intentional, yes?" "Yes," Tasha said. "It does something," Amara said. "It looks structured at first, but then it feels human by the time you get to the end." "That is the entire campaign concept," Min-jae said, from beside her. She glanced at him. "Structured becoming human," he said. "That is what Tasha said in the first brief." Amara looked at Tasha. "That sounds familiar," she said. "It is a design concept," Tasha said very quickly. "It is also a description of your CEO," Amara said. Amara. "I said what I said." Min-jae looked between them. "I feel like this conversation has layers I am not fully accessing," he said. "You are accessing them fine," Amara said. He looked at her. She looked at the boards. And somehow, without moving, the temperature of the room shifted approximately 2 degrees in a direction that Tasha, who was standing in the middle of it, felt physically. "Can I see the rest of the floor?" Amara asked. "I will show you," Min-jae said. Immediately. Then, realizing the immediacy, if Tasha needs to work." "Go," Tasha said. "She should work," Min-jae said to Amara. "I can." "He can show you around," Tasha said. Amara looked at Min-jae. "Lead the way," she said. Min-jae gestured toward the corridor with the dignified energy of a man taking a very important meeting. They walked out. Soo-yeon slowly lowered her phone. Looked at Tasha. "Those two," she said. "I know," Tasha said. "Should we?" "Leave them alone," Tasha said. "Completely alone. Do not interfere, do not comment, do not look at them in ways that acknowledge anything." "Understood. Min-jae has earned this." "He has been alone a long time," Soo-yeon said quietly. "Yes," Tasha said. They looked at the empty doorway. "Also," Soo-yeon said, "Amara called his jacket nice before he said a single thing to her." "I know. That was deliberate." "I know that too." Soo-yeon smiled. "Good," she said simply, and went back to work. Down the corridor, Min-jae was showing Amara the view from the east window, which was the best view on the floor, and he was explaining what the different buildings were, and she was asking questions that were sometimes about the buildings and sometimes about him, and he was answering both kinds with the specific attentiveness of a man who was listening to everything and pretending he was not counting the things she said. "How long have you worked here?" she asked. 9 years. That is a long time to be anywhere. It is, he said. Most people leave after 2 or 3 years. The pace is, he searched for the word, particular. Particular like difficult? Particular like demanding, he said. Jun Seo has high standards. For everyone or just himself? He looked at her. That is a perceptive question. Answer it.
Both, he said.
But he holds himself to a standard that is frankly not sustainable for a human being, and then is sometimes surprised when others cannot match it. Is he a good person to work for? Min-jae thought about this with a genuine consideration of someone who did not give dishonest answers. He is a good person, he said. Working for him it is complicated by the fact that he does not always separate the CEO from the person. They are very tangled.
He paused.
Tasha is the first person who has treated them as separable. Amara looked out the window.
She does that, she said.
She sees the person inside the performance. She has always done it. It is one of the things people find unsettling about her when they first meet her.
Unsettling.
When someone looks at you that clearly, Amara said, and does not flinch at what they see, it can feel threatening. She glanced at him, especially to people who have spent years building very careful performances. He was quiet for a moment. Yes, he said. I think that is accurate. It happened to me too, she said. When we were students. She looked at me one day, across a terrible cafeteria lunch, and said, "You are not as confident as you pretend to be. And you are working very hard to make people think you are fine when you are not." And I was furious with her for approximately 2 weeks, and then realized she was right, and she had been the first person to say it because she was the first person who had actually looked. Min-jae was listening with his full attention.
She is rare, he said.
She is, Amara agreed. So is the fact that your CEO can see it. He looked at her. He can, he said. I think that is why he is so unsettled by her. He recognizes what he is looking at, and he does not have a system for it. Men like him never do, she said. Men like him, he repeated. What kind of man is he? The kind who built walls so well that they started to feel like the building itself, she said. The kind who needs someone to walk in and just, she made a small gesture, exist in the space differently, without asking permission, without being afraid of the structure. He was very quiet. You are describing Tasha, he said. I am describing what Tasha does, she said. Without even trying. She takes up the right amount of space. Always. Without apology. He looked out the window. That must be very restful, he said quietly. To be around. She glanced at him. Is it not restful to be around you? She asked. He laughed. A genuine one, surprised. I am, he started. I am the chaos adjacent to the order, he said. I make the order bearable. But I am also very aware of the structure I operate in. Are you happy in it? He looked at her. Today I am, he said. Amara looked at the window, and very carefully did not smile. But her reflection in the glass did something that she could not entirely control. Min-jae saw it, and said nothing. But he was smiling too. Tasha found Jun Seo that afternoon. She had been building toward this conversation all day, through the meeting and the formal complaint and Min-jae's report and the 4 sentences he had sent to the board on her behalf, and she had decided that she needed to say something even if the saying of it was difficult. She knocked on his office door. Come in. He was at his desk with 3 reports open and his jacket hanging on the back of the chair, which meant he had been there long enough to stop performing and had shifted into actual work mode, which was the version of him she had, over the past weeks, come to trust completely. He looked up. Tasha. I heard about the board response, she said. He looked at his screen. It was appropriate. Can I sit down? You usually sit down without asking. I am asking this time, because this is a different conversation. He looked at her, gestured to the chair. She sat. She folded her hands. He waited with the patience of someone who had learned that she usually arrived at the point eventually and that the path there was worth waiting for.
Thank you, she said.
For defending the work. For the formal response. For not letting it go through without, she paused, without standing up for it. It was the correct response to an incorrect complaint, he said.
I know, she said.
But I want you to know that I recognize what that cost you politically. Director Park has allies on the board. Putting yourself against him formally is my decision to make, he said simply. She looked at him. I need to say something, she said. And I need you to hear the whole thing before you respond. He set down his pen. She took that as permission. I want to make a name for myself, she said. I want people to look at my work and know it is mine. Not because of where I got the opportunity or who gave it to me. On my own. By my own standard. I want to climb to the top of my career on my own legs and get there and know that I built every step myself. He was listening, not interrupting. I am very aware, she said carefully, that working here and the way people now connect my name to your name because of the voice note thing and the social media thing and the interview and all of it, she exhaled. I am aware that there is a version of this where people look at my work and say, she is good because he made her good. Or she is here because he put her here. Or any of the other things that happen to women who are connected to powerful men, where the connection becomes the story instead of the work. She looked at her hands. I do not want that to be my story, she said. I am not saying that to be difficult. I am saying it because it is true, and it is important to me, and I think you deserve to understand it. Jun Seo was very still. She kept going. Whatever this is between us. She gestured vaguely at the space between them. I will not let it make me smaller professionally. I will not let my work be dismissed as something that happened because I stood near someone important. I have been designing my whole life. I have talent. I have earned what I know, and I need the world to see that independently. She looked up at him. Can you understand that? Silence. Not the short kind. The long thinking kind. The kind that meant he was taking what she said seriously enough to sit with it before answering. Then he said, yes.
Just that.
She blinked. Yes. Yes, he said again. I understand it completely. You are not going to argue with me? Why would I argue with something I agree with? She stared at him. You agree with me? Your work is yours, he said. It was yours before you walked into this building, and it will be yours when the campaign is the most successful thing we have launched in 5 years, and it will be yours when people remember the name of the designer responsible. He looked at her steadily. Nobody is taking credit for your talent. It is not possible. It is visible in the work. She was quiet. But I need to say something to you in return, he said. Okay. What you're describing, he said, the desire to build your own name, to arrive at the top on your own terms, to have the work stand independent of any connection. I hear it. I respect it. I would not want anything less for you.
Thank you, she said.
However, he said, with the specific gravity of a man who had been choosing his next words carefully for the past 30 seconds, what exists between us is not a limitation on your success. It is not a ceiling, and it is not a dependency, and it is not something that diminishes you. She held his gaze. I know that, she started. Let me finish, he said quietly. She stopped. He looked at her with the particular directness he reserved for things that were entirely real. I know what you are afraid of, he said. You are afraid of becoming a footnote in someone else's story, of having your name attached to mine in a way that makes people question whether you earned your place. I understand that fear, and I do not dismiss it. A pause. But I need you to understand something about where I stand. She waited. He exhaled slowly. And then Kong Jun-seo, CEO of KJ Global, man who communicated with the precision of corporate documentation and the emotional expression of someone who had been trained since childhood to keep everything tightly managed, looked at Tasha Collins and said, I would climb mountains to be near you. I would cross every ocean on this earth. I would walk into every room you are not in and turn around and walk back out, and do it again for as long as it took, just to be wherever you are. The office was completely silent. Tasha stared at him. He held her gaze without looking away. What I feel for you, he said, quieter now but no less certain, does not reduce you. It does not define you. It does not compete with your name or your work or the career you are building. You will stand at the top of everything you are building, and you will stand there entirely on your own merit, and I will be a pause, wherever you allow me to be, watching, not taking credit, not inserting myself into your story. His jaw tightened slightly, but not disappearing from it either. Not anymore. She had not moved. She was not breathing properly. He seemed to become aware of the enormity of what he had just said, because something crossed his expression, not regret but awareness, and he looked at his desk briefly. He started. Do not take it back, she said. He looked at her. I was not going to, he said. She exhaled. Long and slow and uneven.
Junseo, she said.
Yes. You just said you would cross oceans for me. Yes.
You.
Kong Junseo. The man who once ended a meeting in 7 minutes because he found it unproductive. Yes. The man who once called beaches unproductive, he said. I know. And you would cross an ocean.
For you, he said.
Specifically. She put her hand over her mouth, not to hide distress, to stop herself from saying something at full volume that she had been holding for weeks. He watched her with the patient intensity of a man who had finally said the thing and was now simply waiting to see what happened next. I need a minute, she said. Take several. You cannot just, she waved her hand, say something like that and then sit there calmly, like you did not just. I am not calm, he said. She looked at him. He was not. She could see it now. His hands, which were usually very controlled, very still, were not entirely still. The pen he had put down was at a slightly different angle than it had been. He was sitting in the chair with the specific tension of a person who had made a significant move and was holding their breath for the response. He was terrified. Under all of it, he was absolutely terrified.
And he had said it anyway.
Something shifted in her chest, moved around and settled in a different place than it had been before. She lowered her hand from her mouth. I am going to stand on my own, she said. I know, he said. My work is mine. It is. I am building my own name. Nobody gives it to me. Nobody could, he said. She looked at him. And, she said slowly, I am going to let you be wherever I allow you to be. He held very still. Which is, she paused, and for a moment the banter was completely gone, and what was left was just honest. Close, she said. Closer than you have been. If you want that. He looked at her. I want that, he said. Simple. Unambiguous.
Real.
She nodded, then stood up. He stood too, reflexively. They were standing on opposite sides of his desk with approximately 2 meters between them and the particular weight of what had just been said filling every centimeter of the space. She picked up her notebook. I am going to finish the campaign, she said. Yes. Because it is excellent, and it deserves to be finished properly. Yes. And then, she said at the door, I am going to accept a dinner invitation. At 7 o'clock, if one is offered. He looked at her. Tomorrow, he said. 7. I will be ready, she said. She walked out. Ji-yoon, who had been sitting at her desk outside the office with the expression of someone who had been minding her own business very loudly, said nothing. But she was texting Mrs. Kong before Tasha had cleared the corridor. Min-jae was already waiting at Tasha's desk when she got back. She looked at him. How much did you hear? I was walking past, he said. You were not walking past. The corridor has acoustics. Min-jae. I heard the oceans part, he said. She sat down. The oceans part, she repeated. And the mountains, he said, with enormous reverence. He said mountains too. She put her head in her hands. He said mountains and oceans, Min-jae said. In one speech. To another human being. Out loud. He was pressing both hands to his face now. This is the single greatest personal achievement of his entire life. I need you to understand how significant. Min-jae. He once described his feelings for a previous relationship as compatible. Compatible. And today he said mountains. Min-jae. And oceans. M-I-N-J-E. He stopped. Looked at her. She raised her head from her hands. Go call Amara, she said. A pause. Why would I call Amara? Because I think you want to tell someone about this, she said, and the only person who will appreciate it at the same level you need is her. He considered this. I have her number, he said. I know you do, she said. You asked Ji-yoon for it yesterday. I needed it for. Go call Amara, she said again. He stood up. Smoothed his jacket. This was a good day, he said. Go, she said. He went. She turned to her design boards, and quietly, privately, to the screen in front of her, she said. Mountains and oceans. Then she picked up her pencil and smiled so widely that Soo-yeon, without looking up from her own work, said,
Good.
"Just that," and went back to her desk. It was on a Thursday, few days before the preview, that the complication arrived. Not from the board. Not from Director Park. From a woman named Han Seo. She arrived in the way that complications always arrived in Tasha's experience. At the worst possible time, wearing the best possible outfit, looking like someone who had been designed to make other people feel slightly less assembled. Han Seo was 33, the daughter of one of KJ Global's most significant board investors, and she moved through the executive corridor with the ease of someone who had been moving through executive corridors since she learned to walk, which, Tasha suspected, had been earlier than most. She arrived on the 4th floor at 2 in the afternoon with 2 of her own assistants, and an appointment that Ji-yoon had apparently been quietly stressed about for 24 hours. Tasha noticed her immediately.
It was hard not to.
She moved differently than the rest of the corridor traffic, not rushed, not deferential, just present with the particular confidence of someone who had never once had to establish their right to be in a room. She noticed Tasha equally quickly. There was a pause. The brief, assessing pause of 2 people in a space that one of them had not expected to contain the other. "You must be the designer," Seo said. Her English was perfect, with the specific polish of an international education. "That would be me," Tasha said. Seo's eyes moved over Tasha's desk, her design boards pinned to the wall, the evidence of 3 weeks of work embedded in the 4th floor like she had always been there. "I have heard interesting things about the campaign," she said. "And about you." "Good interesting or complicated interesting?" Tasha said. Something shifted in the other woman's expression. Not unfriendly, but measuring.
"Both," she said.
"Usually the most interesting things are both." Then she continued down the corridor toward Jun Seo's office. Tasha watched her go, then turned back to her work. Soo-yeon appeared at the edge of her desk 3 seconds later with a specific expression of someone managing information. "Han Seo," she said quietly. "I gathered. Her father is on the board." "I also gathered that." Soo-yeon hesitated. "She and the CEO have known each other for a long time," she said. "Their families are," she paused, "connected." Tasha looked at her sketches. "Okay," she said. "She visits occasionally." "Okay." "She is," Soo-yeon stopped. Tasha looked up. Soo-yeon looked like a woman choosing words with enormous care. "She is someone he knew before everything became complicated," Soo-yeon said finally. Tasha absorbed that. "Thank you, Soo-yeon," she said. Soo-yeon retreated. Tasha picked up her pencil. Put it down. Picked it up again. Told herself, firmly and with full conviction, that this was not relevant to anything. Drew approximately 4 lines. Put the pencil down again. "Absolutely fine," she said quietly to no one. She was absolutely not fine. Not in the way that meant something was wrong. In the way that meant something was right in a direction she had not given herself permission to acknowledge yet, and discovering that someone else might be moving in that same direction felt like standing up too fast and losing your balance. She managed 12 more minutes of work before Min-jae appeared.
"She's here," he said.
"I know."
He sat down.
"She and Jun Seo have history," he said. Soo-yeon covered this. "Not the full version." Tasha looked at him. "Min-jae, if you are here to tell me something, just tell me." He exhaled. 5 years ago, he said, her father suggested a merger. The practical component of the merger involved a personal arrangement between Jun Seo and Seo. It was the kind of suggestion that is never quite a demand, but is understood by everyone involved to carry the weight of one. Tasha waited. Jun Seo declined, Min-jae said, politely, professionally, but absolutely. He told her father that he would not attach personal decisions to business arrangements. And Seo? Min-jae paused. She respected it, he said, which, honestly, made the situation more complicated in its own way. They remained on civil, cordial terms. She visits sometimes. Business reasons, ostensibly. Ostensibly, Tasha repeated. She is not a bad person, Min-jae said carefully. But she is, he thought, someone who is still in the space of a door Jun Seo closed. Tasha was quiet for a moment. That is not my business, she said. Tasha. It is genuinely not, she said. I am a freelance designer on a campaign contract. What Kong Junseo does with his personal history is not something I have any standing to have feelings about. Min Jae looked at her. That was a very comprehensive sentence, he said, for someone who has had feelings about Kong Junseo for weeks. Min Jae. I know what you are doing, she said. And I appreciate it. But this is exactly the part where I stop acting like I know what this is. She looked at her sketches. I am here for a campaign. I am good at my job. That is what I know for certain. He was quiet. Then, and the rest? She picked up her pencil again. The rest is a work in progress. Min Jae stood. He put his hand briefly on the edge of her desk. Not quite a pat, more a gesture of solidarity. For what it's worth, he said. He did not look at her the way he looks at you. She did not look up. He is in there with her right now, she said. Yes, Min Jae said. And he has been in there for 11 minutes. You know how long Junseo spends on conversations that do not matter to him. She considered. Less than that, she said. Significantly less, Min Jae confirmed. The man once ended a preliminary partnership discussion with a Fortune 500 company in 7 minutes because he decided it was unproductive. She was quiet. He is managing a complicated history, Min Jae said, not inviting it back. He left. She sat with her pencil in her hand and waited. Seoa came back through the corridor 23 minutes later. She paused at Tasha's desk again, briefly, with the expression of a woman who is very good at reading situations and had read this one accurately. The campaign designs are good, she said. I saw the concept boards in his office. Tasha looked up. Thank you. A pause. Seoa looked at her with the complicated honesty of someone who had made peace with a particular truth before arriving. He is different, she said, since you arrived. Tasha said nothing. He was always, Seoa paused, looking for the right word. Complete. Very complete. The kind of complete that does not leave space for things that are not already structured. She looked at Tasha's design boards. You are clearly not structured. I have been told, Tasha said. The corner of Seoa's mouth moved. Not unfriendly. Good for him, she said simply. Then she walked toward the elevator. Tasha stared at the space she had occupied, then looked at her design boards, then took the deepest, quietest breath she had taken all week, and went back to work. The campaign preview was 4 days later. It arrived with a specific chaos of creative deadlines everywhere, last-minute adjustments, printers that decided Tuesday was an excellent time to develop mechanical opinions, a junior designer who had accidentally submitted the wrong file version and had the specific expression of someone watching their career flash before them, which Tasha resolved in 20 minutes with a combination of the correct file, a calm voice, and a speech about how mistakes were just speed bumps in otherwise good roads. The junior designer had looked at her like she had said something revolutionary. She had simply learned it from watching people who were not panicking be more effective than people who were. Specifically, one person, who was currently across the building managing 3 things simultaneously with the exact same expression he used for all of them. The space came together. The team had built something good, and they knew it, which was visible in the specific energy of people who had worked hard on something they believed in and were watching it exist in 3 dimensions for the first time. Tasha stood in the middle of it and took stock. The gradient panels were lit correctly. The interactive elements worked. The campaign voice, bold, warm, human, unapologetically itself, was visible in every surface of the space. She had built this. Her name was on this. Nobody had given it to her. She had taken the brief and the arguments and the 4 weeks of work and the team and the creative fights and even the director park situation, and she had built something that was identifiably, undeniably hers. She stood there and felt it. The specific, quiet satisfaction of something earned. Amara arrived early and went directly to Tasha and took both her hands and said nothing for a moment. Just looked at the room. This is you, she said. Yes, Tasha said. This is entirely, completely, obviously you. Yes. Amara squeezed her hands. I am so proud of you, she said quietly. Tasha looked at the campaign. I am proud of me too, she said, which was not something she said often, but she meant it completely. Min Jae appeared beside Amara so naturally that it took a moment to notice he had arrived. You came, he said to her. She turned. I said I would, she said, for the second time in 2 days. He smiled. You keep doing that, he said. Meaning things I say? Showing up when you say you will. She tilted her head slightly. Is that unusual for you? In my experience, he said. Yes. She looked at him. That is a sad experience, she said. It is improving, he said. She held his gaze for a moment, then looked at the campaign display. Show me the pieces, she said. With pleasure, he said. And they moved through the space side by side, him explaining, her asking questions that were half about the campaign and half about other things entirely, building the particular ease of two people who had decided, without formal announcement, that they liked each other's company enough to seek it deliberately. Tasha watched them from across the room. June appeared beside her. The CEO is here, she said quietly. Tasha turned. June's CEO had come in through the side entrance. No ceremony. No entourage. Just him, jacket on, standing near the back of the room, looking at what had been built. She started toward him. He saw her before she reached him. He looked at the room, then at her, then back at the room. You built it, he said. The team. Tasha. She stopped deflecting. Yes, she said. I built it. He looked at the campaign. It is everything the brief asked for, he said. And considerably more. That is the point of good work, she said. It exceeds. He turned to her. Director Park walked through 20 minutes ago, he said. She blinked. He came to the preview. He came to evaluate. And a pause. He told June to inform me that the color palette was. June's CEO paused, effective. She stared at him. Director Park said my work was effective. Yes. In those words. Yes. She looked at the ceiling. That man ran me through a board complaint, and the best he can manage is effective? From Director Park, June's CEO said, with a slight tightening at the corner of his mouth, effective is the equivalent of everyone else saying exceptional. That is the smallest victory I have ever had. It is a significant one, he said. She looked at him. He was doing the thing. The almost smile. You are enjoying this, she said. I am observing, he said. You are absolutely enjoying this. The almost smile became an actual one. Small. Real. Entirely his. She had been earning that smile for weeks. She was not done collecting them. 7 o'clock tomorrow, she said. I will pick you up, he said. I know the address of a good restaurant, she said. I already made a reservation, he said. She stopped. You already made a reservation? Yes. Before I confirmed. Yes. You assumed I would come. He looked at her. I hoped you would come, he said. That was different. That was the distinction between the CEO who moved the world around his decisions and the person who was carefully and deliberately learning to hope instead of assume. She exhaled. What restaurant, she said. He told her. Her eyes widened. That place has a 3-month waiting list, she said. I know. You got a table on 2 days' notice. I have a relationship with the owner, he said. Of course you do, she said. Everything about you is absurd. You like it, he said. She pointed at him. Do not get confident. I am not confident, he said. I am accurate. She made a sound. Fine, she said. 7 o'clock. 3-month waiting list restaurant. This is extremely excessive for a man who once said beaches were unproductive. I am revising my position on unproductive things, he said. She looked at him. He looked at her. And across the room, in the warm light of the campaign they had built together, with Seoul glowing outside the windows and the team laughing and Min-jae saying something that made Amara shake her head and smile, they stood in the particular piece of two people who had stopped pretending and had not yet arrived at the next thing but were, clearly and irreversibly, on their way. Board member Lee Sung-ho found them, because of course someone did. He arrived with the cheerful energy of an older man who had been watching the social media commentary about the KJ Global Campaign Designer for 3 weeks and had strong feelings about it. CEO Kong, he said, clasping Jun Seo's arm. Excellent evening. And this, he turned to Tasha with a wide smile. Must be the designer. Tasha Collins, she said. Lee Sung-ho, board member. He looked between them. I have to say, this campaign is a remarkable turn of direction. Fresh energy. Very fresh. He smiled at Jun Seo. You have good instincts. Jun Seo said. The credit is entirely hers. Lee Sung-ho looked at Tasha, then at Jun Seo. then at the space between them with the perceptive attention of a man who had been reading rooms for 40 years. Yes, he said. I can see that. He smiled at Tasha. We will be seeing more of your work, I hope. I intend for it, she said. He laughed. Good answer, he said. He moved on. Tasha waited until he was 3 steps away, then said quietly, You said the credit was entirely mine. It is. In front of a board member. Yes. You did not attach your name to it. He looked at her. It is your work, he said. The credit is yours. I simply made sure the conditions existed for you to do it. She absorbed that. Junseo. Yes. That was, she searched for the word. Accurate, he said. Kind, she said. He looked like he was not entirely sure what to do with that word directed at him. It was accurate, he said again less certainly. It was kind, she said. Accept it. A beat. Okay, he said. She smiled. He looked slightly less uncertain. Progress. Across the room, the chaos of Amara and Minjae was reaching a new elevation. They had been talking for 45 minutes, which Tasha had clocked with the attentiveness of an invested observer, and the conversation had evolved from campaign discussion to something that had nothing to do with campaigns, and everything to do with the specific way 2 people talked when they had stopped performing and started listening. Minjae had said something, and Amara had looked at him with the expression she used when she encountered something genuinely surprising. Not the polite surprise of social interaction, but the real kind, the slightly unsettled kind. Then she had said something back, and Minjae had gone quiet in a way that was not awkward but attentive. Then they had both looked at the window at the same time. Then back at each other. Tasha recognized that sequence. She had lived that sequence. Minjae is going to be completely useless at work starting Monday, she said quietly to Jiun, who had materialized nearby. Jiun looked at them. He has been slightly unfocused since last Thursday, she said. Tasha nodded. Since I told him she was coming. Jiun looked at Tasha. You knew. From the first meeting in the cafeteria, Tasha said. He looked at her the way people look at something they do not want. Jiun smiled. He deserves something good, she said. He does, Tasha agreed. Then Jiun looked at Junseo. Then at Tasha. With the expression of a woman who had been Jiun-ji her way through 4 years of caring about her boss, and was very grateful to currently be having this evening. He does too, she said quietly. Tasha looked at Junseo. He was talking to another board member. Professional. Controlled. Perfect. But he glanced across the room at her while talking. Just once. Quick. The way you checked on something that mattered. She looked away first, so he would not catch her. He definitely caught her. She definitely caught him catching her. Neither of them acknowledged this. Which was its own language by now. Later. Much later. After the board members had left and the team had filtered out in the satisfied, tired way of people who had done something worth doing, and the campaign display was still lit in the quiet of the emptied space, Tasha found herself with Amara near the main panel. He called you, Amara said. Minjae. Last night. Tasha turned. Already. Amara looked at the gradient panel. We talked for an hour, she said. He is, she paused. Not what I expected. What did you expect? A man who is funny and easy and kept things light, she said. That is what you described. He is all of those things. He is also, Amara paused again. Honest. Uncomfortably honest. About himself. About what he wants. She looked at her hands. Men like that are rare. I know, Tasha said. He asked if he could call again, Amara said. What did you say? Amara was quiet for a moment. Then, I said yes. Tasha said nothing. Just linked her arm through Amara's. They stood there together in the quiet of the room. The city outside the windows. The campaign glowing. 2 women who had started somewhere entirely different. Noodles and bad financial decisions, and a sewing machine with an attitude, standing in the middle of something that had turned into more than either of them had planned. I think I like him, Amara said quietly, like she was testing the weight of it. I know, Tasha said. That is inconvenient. I know that too. He lives here, Amara said. I live. One complicated thing at a time, Tasha said. Just start with one. Amara was quiet. Okay, she said. One at a time. The door opened. Junseo appeared. He looked at them. At Tasha, specifically. Everyone is gone, he said. I know, she said. He stood there. The space looks, he searched, complete. It is, she said. He looked at the gradient panel, then at her, and said, quietly, for her alone, tomorrow, 7.
Tomorrow, she said.
7, she confirmed. He nodded,
Turned.
then paused. Tasha. She looked at him. Your name is on this, he said. Every person who walks through here tonight and tomorrow, and for as long as this campaign runs, will see work that is identifiably, indisputably yours. He held her gaze. Nobody gave you that. She looked at the campaign, then back at him. No, she said. They did not. He nodded, and left. Amara looked at the space where he had been standing, then at Tasha. Mountains and oceans, she said. Tasha laughed. Min-jae told you. Min-jae called specifically to tell me, Amara said. At 10:30 p.m. Leading with, I need to tell you what he said. Of course he did. He was extremely emotional about it. He has been waiting 9 years for Jun Seo to say something like that to a human being. Amara was quiet for a moment. Is he real, she said. Like, is that a real person who says things like that? He is real, Tasha said. Terrifyingly, inconveniently real. Amara shook her head slowly. You are in serious trouble, she said. I know, Tasha said. Are you scared?
She thought about it.
Yes, she said honestly. And no. Mostly, she paused. Mostly, I just want to see what happens next. Amara smiled. That sounds like you, she said. That is entirely me, Tasha agreed. They walked toward the elevator together. The campaign glowed behind them in the quiet room. Her name was on it. Her work. Her climb. And somewhere ahead, at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, a man who had crossed no actual oceans but had done something significantly harder, had opened a door he had kept shut for years and said come in, specifically to her, was going to pick her up in a car that was probably unreasonably nice and take her to a restaurant with a 3-month waiting list and sit across from her without a board meeting or a campaign between them. Just 2 people. No performances. No armor. No excuses. The elevator came. She stepped in and smiled. The kind that had nothing to do with being funny and everything to do with being happy. If you stayed until the very end of part 3, you are exactly the kind of person this story was made for. Drop a comment right now and tell me where you are watching from and what time it is. I want to know. Like this video, share it with someone who deserves a good romance story today, and subscribe so you do not miss the next story. Because the next story is coming, and it has the dinner. The moment Tasha finally says the word she has been refusing to say for 3 episodes, a Min-jae and Amara development that is going to break your heart in the best way, and something from Director Park that nobody is prepared for. Comment your favorite line from this episode and tell me honestly, who said the most romantic thing, Jun Seo with the mountains and oceans, or Min-jae showing up in the jacket? See you in the next one.